Thank you all for joining us tonight. My name is Virginia Spencer. I'm honored to be here on behalf of Inspiritus. Many of you guys know Inspiritus as historically we've been a nonprofit in the southeastern region of the United States. Inspiritus came about a few years ago as a rebranded effort when Lutheran Services of Georgia and Lutheran Services in Tennessee merged. And we've just been so honored to carry forth the history of these services that have been forming over the last 100 years. Inspiritus is a very vital part of our community in the southern and southeastern United States, where we work to empower people who have survived storms of life, whether they were hurricanes or tornadoes or floods, or others who have survived war, religious persecution in foreign countries and have been brought over to the United States as refugees, like Ukrainians and Afghanistan residents and allies. We welcome those individuals as well and help navigate them through the storms of life. We often accompany foster children who we meet at the hospital and then help them navigate the storms of life they're encountering and help them return to a thriving home. And many others, such as adults with disabilities and families living in low-income communities throughout the South, especially in Nashville. And so tonight we're here just excited to share with you a little bit more about our disaster work. Our disaster program continues to expand to meet needs all across the Midwest and Southern United States. And that's only possible because of the heroes that are on the call tonight, mainly volunteers, response volunteers, partners, donors, all of these individuals who, just like you and I, see these headlines and say, how can I help? My heart is broken. I really want to be there for someone, just like I wish someone would be there for me if I were in their shoes. And so we're honored here tonight to introduce some of our leaders and lead volunteers. And I hope you enjoy the stories you'll hear tonight and they touch your hearts. So right now we're going to go ahead and start a video. Thank you.
More than 30 million Americans across the South face the threat of severe weather tonight.
A tornado outbreak across several states as we come on the air. The National Weather Service warning tonight of a particularly dangerous situation in at least 4 states already.
The outbreak turning deadlier. At least 9 fatalities and more than 30 confirmed cases of the coronavirus.
Overnight, Taliban leaders are claiming they have taken control of the Panjshir province.
There is an urgent need for more foster parents across the state, with the pandemic dramatically slashing interest.
Since the pandemic started, we're seeing child abuse reports going up as well.
This morning, an urgent search for the missing after at least 2 devastating tornadoes in Tennessee claimed the lives of at least 25 people.
Millions of Americans who lost part or all of their income due to the coronavirus pandemic are facing eviction.
Hunger in America, especially for children, has soared to historic levels.
The chaos in Afghanistan as U.S. troops head back into the country to secure Kabul's main airport after thousands flooded the airport in a desperate attempt to flee the Taliban.
At the end of my 4 months here, I will be back in the same position I was in June, looking for a permanent, accessible house.
What are the odds of you finding a permanent, accessible house?
I would say 1 in a million.
Thank you, Virginia, for sharing that with us. And, you know, I watched that and we never know from one moment to the next. Our lives could be flipped upside down just as well as those that we've been serving for all these years. And it takes a whole community. And I want to say thank you to all of our volunteers and partners and sponsors and everyone that helps us. I'm Sherry Burish. I'm the executive director of our disaster relief program. And I definitely do not do what I do alone. I've got a strong leadership team, and without them, then we couldn't do it. Now, we do have other employees that work in our long-term recovery that we hire on, but our leadership team consists of Kevin Burgess, and who is our lead construction manager, and Sabrina Moore, who is our program manager for this. And you will be hearing more from them later on, but I just want to introduce myself and say thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Sherry. Am I on video? We're good there? So as Sherry was saying, it takes a team, and that's what this call is about developing more team. One of the things that I love about Inspiritus, not just the community outside that we serve, but the team inside that serves with us. So really enjoy our team, and it takes all of us to do this. The other thing I love about Inspiritus and our disaster relief is that when we come into a disaster, we're not coming in to do the quick fix. We're not coming in to just react, but we're coming in to respond, to look at the entire picture and how is it that we can help these people get back in their homes and get back to their new normal. It's not just a sprint, right? It's a faith journey. It requires a lot of work on our behalf, but then it requires grace on God's behalf as well. Often we get caught up in the news and the hype, but guys, when the news leaves, that's when the real work begins. And when I'm asked, how do we do disaster relief? What makes Inspiritus different than others? And when I would say that, I compare it to nursing a wound. Like if you have a really bad wound, that's what this crisis is to this community, is a really bad wound. And that wound dressing, if you will, you have to clean the wound, you have to prepare and plan on how you're going to fix the wound, and then you go into recovery. So the three phases, if you will, of disaster would be then the response, the planning, and the recovery. In disaster response is the cleaning of the wound. It's when we're removing the debris. It's when we have our heavy equipment volunteers going, it's when we're doing sort and salvage, sorting through the debris and helping salvage the personal items of these people. Because these people aren't just their belongings, but their belongings remind them of who they are and how they got to where they are. So it's important to get all that we can for them, and more so to hear the stories. Our response volunteers aren't just your regular people. It takes heart to be a response volunteer. It takes courage to be a response volunteer. So it's not just we need your help because the more the merrier. We need your help because the more hands and the more hearts means the more work we get done. The more work we get done means the more healing that takes place. And that's what happens in that cleaning or that response phase. Next, we go into our planning phase. So it kind of overlaps. We have volunteers that help with assessments, as well as myself and the leadership team, assessing the community, assessing individual properties to see what exactly it's going to take to recover from this crisis. So we take all of that information and we bundle it together and we present it over to our fantastic development team, which is headed up by Miss Virginia, who you met at the beginning of this time. From there, they go out seeking those funds so that we can come back in long-term recovery. But it's in that planning phase that we are working with other organizations, other partnering organizations, that to find out what they're doing so that we can help fill the gaps. So Inspiritus as a whole in disaster relief, we offer case management, we offer volunteer management, we also offer construction management. So it is in that time that we're deciding what it is that we can do to fill the gap and to work where maybe there's not somebody working. So again, to help as a community. All this time, we're prioritizing under-resourced areas. Where is it that people need help, but other organizations aren't? We're looking at low-income individuals, seniors, and/or medical needs. We're looking at extenuating family needs, as well as veterans. Okay, are we helping those that have helped us in the past to get us to where we are? Through this all, we really are focusing in on the uninsured, underinsured, or in conflict with insurance. It's those people that need the help the most. I don't know how many times I've heard, we don't know where we would be because our insurance let us down, or we don't know where we'd be because we weren't fully covered. But thank you guys for being here with your volunteers. You've made the total difference. And because of this, we now have hope. So it's a beautiful part of the whole. Then once funded, because again, Virginia and the crew has done so great. Once funded, we come back into phase 3, the long-term recovery. And that's where I love Inspiritus, because that's the heart of Inspiritus. And this is where our volunteers are crucial. Because guys, if it takes a village to raise a child, it takes a community to raise a village. And to journey with those survivors from disaster, from surviving to thriving, takes a lot more than just know-how and tools. It takes leadership, okay? Our leadership develops the scopes of work, the sequence of the job, organizing contractors, and also to track the projects as they're being completed. But guys, is a leader truly a leader without a follower? I don't think so. It's the volunteers that make the difference, the listening hearts to truly hear survivors, the hands, both skilled and unskilled. Guys, if you're out there and you don't have skills or you don't think you have skills, come anyway. If you've got the heart to help, we can teach you the skills. I love getting the calls from unskilled volunteers after a disaster where they've learned skills and they go back and remodel their basements or such. And using the skills they learned during crisis, it's a beautiful thing. So, and also the compassionate and cooperative hearts is another requirement for what we do. Because again, we do it with partnering organizations. We could not do what we do alone. And last, but definitely not least, it takes faith, guys. It's not easy doing what we do. And in fact, it's rather messy and most of the time stressful. But you know what? It's not unicorns and rainbows in real life all the time. Neither is it as in disaster. It truly is hurricanes, tornadoes, and floods. But that's the beauty of the long-term recovery, because it's in the long term where the wounds heal and people return to their new normal. Will they ever be the same? No, they've been through this crisis. But recovery doesn't let the storm win. It doesn't let the storm define the community. Recovery brings out the courage. It brings out the hope and brings forth the new community. And when we do it all together, guys, it's then that it's like, bring on the next challenge. Bring on the next challenge. So we asked, where do we serve? This all started in Georgia. It is all now spread to Tennessee, Kentucky. We have long-term recovery going in 3 different states right now. But looking into the future, we have already, let me step back and then look forward. We have served in Alabama and Mississippi, and we're looking, possibly Texas, North Carolina, Florida, who knows? The invitation is there. If we have the people and the folks, we'll be there to help. So join us as we restore hope, as we inspire change, and as we share love through our actions, as we and you journey with those who have endured crisis from surviving to thriving, as you see in the following video.
My home is being fixed, but I'm so grateful for all the help I've gotten. I wish I could thank everybody.
We've had volunteers and organizations come and actually told me they wouldn't be able to help because it was too dangerous. And when y'all came, I was just like, oh, I'm not gonna believe it until I see it. And we came that morning and we seen y'all had basically brought everything from the basement all the way out here. Yeah, y'all exceeded my expectations. Then all the stuff y'all found, I'm happy that y'all came out here.
The best part about being in this program is you just can be yourself. You meet new people, different personalities, you catch on, you learn new words, new phases of art, and you up your skills.
I started because it was in the church, for number one. And I need to know the Lord, get a little closer with the higher power. I need to straighten my life out. And once I started coming, it's exactly what I needed.
In my home, there's never a dull moment. I'm so serious. There's joy in this house all day long. Laughter, she's a good kid.
The experience has been wonderful. They came in because we didn't know which way to turn. They have cleaned up and just came in and took over and just made everything feel good for us. And it was just awesome.
Hi, I'm Sabrina Moore, Program Manager for Inspiritus Disaster Relief. I'm sure by now you're wondering how you can volunteer with us and what to expect once you register with us. There are 4 things you need to know about volunteering with Inspiritus Disaster Relief. You will make an impact. We will work as a team to keep everyone safe. You will meet new and like-minded people, and it will change your life. So number 1, you will make an impact. If you do not have a specific skill, that's okay. All are welcome to register and volunteer with us. We provide hands-on training and teaching while you're with us. Our promise is that you may come without a specific skill, but you will leave with one. Some specific skills that are always helpful to have with us is administration, coordination, organizing, support, heavy equipment, and chainsaw operators, and construction-related skills. However, you do not have to have these skills to volunteer with us. In fact, there are a number of volunteer roles that may interest you, such as administrative volunteers who assist with daily data entry, communications, and tracking. Then we also have pre-deployment volunteers who assist with communication and coordination of volunteers to ensure they have flights, lodging, and transportation when they arrive on the response. Base volunteers care for and support field volunteers while the field volunteers are caring for and supporting survivors out in the field. This includes grocery shopping, cooking meals, cleaning and washing clothes. Base volunteers ensure that the base is functional so that the field volunteers can focus on their task out in the field. In response, field volunteers are hands-on with survivors, providing guidance of resources in the community, assessing property damage, coordination of work in teams, chainsaw work, heavy equipment, and roof tarping. In long-term recovery, field volunteers are also hands-on with survivors, providing construction-related services with their repairs and or rebuilds. Sure, we could use contractors for the work, but volunteers add an extra layer of connection that contractors do not. Volunteers make the survivor feel heard, feel seen, and not forgotten through the connections they are making with them. Teamwork makes the dream work. Each team member has their role in the process, and they assist other team members with duties if needed. Many hands make light work, allowing us to make a bigger impact for survivors. Number 2, safety is the number 1 priority for our staff and volunteers. Each morning before going out into the field, safety protocols are reviewed pertaining to the specific job that will be worked on that day, reviewing how to properly handle equipment being used. Specifically, chainsaw training is provided by one of our skilled volunteer team leaders. In response, you'll have to come several times and work with him hands-on. Once he signs off on your training, you'll be able to run a chainsaw with his oversight. Base is communal setting with safety protocols put into place by staff. Emergency plans are put into place and shared with the team in the event of an emergency. Background checks are done on all volunteers coming in. Separate men and women living quarters are provided. COVID safety protocols include pre-screening before arrival and daily temp checks during your stay. So number 3, you will meet like-minded people. You'll come in as a stranger, but you'll leave as a family member. I would like to share a post that I made during one of our responses. At this particular time, we were going from one disaster to the next. Some volunteers were leaving, some were staying, but all were excited. As life moves on around us, precious volunteers give their time and heart out in the field to serve survivors. They are excited, committed, and ready to work from sunup to sundown. At dinner time, they share their war stories about the different disasters they have responded to. Each story has a special meaning and a special memory. I sit in awe listening to their hearts and listening to their memories. Many volunteers know each other and come back together like long-lost family. Others come in not knowing what to expect and not knowing anyone. That quickly changes when they arrive on base. Those who are on base welcome the new ones with open arms, and they are quickly brought into the circle of family. As I sit back watching and listening, I'm reminded that people want to help others and have a caring heart to do so. Tonight, during one of our team meetings, one new volunteer that is leaving tomorrow shared, "I didn't know what to expect, but I knew I wanted to do chainsaw work. I didn't want to talk to people or homeowners. I just wanted to work. They said, but we ended up talking to homeowners, and I quickly realized that listening to their stories, seeing their excitement and appreciation for the help was more rewarding than the work. My personal favorite part is meeting all these special people and listening to their stories. My least favorite part is when it's time for them to leave. We're gearing up to go into Alabama in response to Hurricane Sally. Again, volunteers jump at the chance to go help another. Some have went home only to come back soon. Some are going with us from Louisiana to Alabama without going home. Personally, I'm a strong believer that volunteers are the voice of the survivor, allowing their stories to be heard and their situations to be seen, leaving them feeling not forgotten, but remembered. So, number 4, when you volunteer with Inspiritus, it is life-changing. Not just for the survivor, but also for you. It's hard to explain. You just have to come and experience it. If you would like to join the family, register at weinspirit.org/volunteer. And then under the Disaster Relief tab, click on the registrations link. Once you register with Inspiritus as a volunteer, be on the lookout for a message from us. We will contact you by email or text to notify you when an opportunity arises to go out. Stay up to date and follow us. Subscribe to our social media, email newsletter, and contact Sherry Barish for additional questions and information. We look forward to meeting you.
So now you've got the how-to. I'm sure that there are several questions out there. And because of that, we are now presenting our volunteer panel discussion. So volunteer panel, if you're out there, please hit your unmute and your camera button. And let's get you on there. And if there's any other additional questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. But we're going to hear from our team here. This is the volunteers again. Inspiritus could not do what we do without volunteers. So on our volunteer panel tonight, and as I say your name, would you please just chime in, introduce yourself, and how did you first get involved with Inspiritus Disaster Relief? So first up, we have Mona Rhodes.
Hi, I'm Mona. And let me just tell you, I got started volunteering. It's been actually quite a few years ago, and I have been involved with Inspiritus too. And I can't say enough about volunteering. It is a passion that is within my heart that motivates me to go whenever I hear about a disaster, but with the busyness of my life, I can't always do that. But I want to put out there to you all that we live in a busy world. We have a lot going, and we always think, oh, do we have time? But I'm a firm believer that time and money we give to help others in need is time and money we will never miss. And I always come away knowing that it did far more for me than I did for anyone else.
Fantastic. Amen. We also have with us tonight Summer Rhodes.
Hey everyone, my name's Summer Rhodes. I'm from Kansas. I'm excited to be here tonight. My first response with Inspiritus was in 2020 during Hurricane Laura, and we were kind of stationed on the Louisiana-Texas border, I believe. And it's been great. I love Inspiritus, and I have nothing but good words to say about it.
It's almost like you've been inspirited, right?
That's right.
Excellent. So our next volunteer is actually a co-worker and a volunteer. John Chapman, who we endearingly refer to as Chappie. Chappie, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're here?
My name's John Chapman. I'm a deputy sheriff here in Tennessee, and first became involved with the organization during a bad flood we had about a year ago, and the wonderful blessing that this organization has done nothing but encourage me to participate more.
Fantastic. And yeah, we worked hand in hand with John in the Waverly floods, which is actually where I am right now. I'm actually in the home of a homeowner that opened up their home for us. So again, the relationships, it's a beautiful thing. And lastly, but absolutely not least, Nathan Myers from the big state of Pennsylvania.
So I got involved with the Cookeville disaster. COVID had just really had everything shut down. So a fellow Christian and buddy of mine called and said, "Hey, my job just got shut down. What do you think about helping with these tornadoes?" I said, "Let me ask the boss." So I talked to my wife and she said, "Yeah, I think you should probably go help." We didn't know anything about anything. We just got in a vehicle with a trailer and tools and drove. And we showed up at the fairgrounds where the station was. And it was relatively soon. I think it was maybe a week and a half into the disaster. And cleanup had taken place. And they assigned us cleanup duty. And that was just through the town, I believe. And then I met up with Kevin. Can you guys still hear me? Because I lost visual.
Yes, we still hear you. We can still see you too.
All right, awesome. So, and then I met up with Kevin, and it seemed like it really took shape then. Like, because we were still doing stuff. They put us on jobs, but we had a trailer full of tools, and we were ready to either build or cut trees down or whatever the case may be, run equipment, whatever that was. And it was a blessing to just pick up garbage the first day and really just take it all in, what we take for granted every day and how it impacts us. And to not be emotional in this time is very difficult because it is so impactful, and it's such a blessing to be able to work with people that truly care and to see that. And at that time, my friend was not a Christian, but he got to see the love of people and the love of Jesus Christ. And that was more than anything, the most impactful thing that he got to witness. And in doing so, it got him hooked to volunteer, and it got a lot of our friends hooked. So we continue. I think we've been to Cookeville now 2-3 times. Every time we pass through Tennessee, we stop and see Martha. Relationship that we've had. I mean, we've gotten phone calls from people that have passed that we've got to work for and really built great relationships. We went to Georgia and helped with we got to fall trees. We put a good crew together. Really, I just continue to enjoy and be blessed to work with Inspiritus. And it's just every time I get to partner with Kevin and get on a job, it's nothing but pure joy. And I feel like I'm robbing the people because I'm getting so blessed in the process of doing so. So volunteering for this has been nothing but a blessing for me, myself. I brought our family down the one time and got our kids involved and got to see what that looks like. So it was just truly a blessing.
It is. And you've been a blessing too, as you come down, Nate. It's fantastic, the friendships and the camaraderie, as you're going to hear as we go through these questions. So my first question, I'm going to go to Miss Summer. Summer, we've got some volunteers watching, some prospective volunteers watching. What were some of your first experience with volunteering with Inspiritus? But more so, what were some of your fears or concerns and or preconceptions, if you will, about volunteering?
Sure, that's a very good question. When you first start volunteering, I think there's plenty of concerns. Not knowing anyone, if you're kind of a shy or quiet person, maybe making friends. So not knowing who you're going to be volunteering with, or who even really is or what the organization is. What skills, like, do I need to go get some certificates? Do I need to go learn a trade? That's always, a question. What kind of work will I be doing? Is it going to be, muddy, dusty? What kind of clothes to bring? How's the travel going to be? Like, where do I fly into? Who's going to pick me up? How do I get to wherever they're stationed? What kind of food? That was, I love my food. I was like, what are we going to be eating? And I wouldn't say I'm picky, but I was like, is it going to be meat? Or, if you're vegetarian, is that available? So yeah, there's there was a lot of concerns when I started volunteering, and they do great at meeting the needs or answering the questions. They're always available, picking you up from the airport, giving you rides. It actually goes really smoothly as it can in a disaster. After I got there, it was cake, everything fell into place, and it's great.
So there's that initial fear
Sure.
of just going, but then you choose to go. And then when you got there, give us just a little bit about maybe the person that picked you up from the airport. What was that initial?
Yeah, I always tell people you just have to do it. You know, it comes down to just doing it. There's a million reasons why not to. So you just have to do it. You know, when I landed, I think they do pretty good. Inspiritus is really good at sending somebody who's, you know, excited to meet people. And then you just kind of feel at home already. You know, when you have a smiling, happy, jolly face to pick you up, you're like, okay, it's going to be okay. We got this, you know, and they like disaster, you like disaster, and it works out.
Very good. So I'm hearing the liking disaster. We have a term that we kind of throw around, but we become volunteer junkies, right? And I think as we go through, you're going to hear that, guys. It's addictive, correct? Like when you're going out and helping people, it's very easy to get addicted. So I'm glad you're one of our volunteer junkies there, Summer. Next question, and I'm going to direct this one to Chappie, because
Yes,
Chappie, you're a little bit different animal in this circle, because you are actually a partnering governmental agency when you met Inspiritus here in Waverly. Can you tell us about that experience with the Waverly?
Sure, that was overwhelming in some ways, because we had a very once in a 100-year flood here, and with a lot of victims and a lot of people in a lot of trouble, and we didn't know who to call, and you guys kind of called yourselves and showed up, and it was such a blessing that we had some folks who were there to help. And immediately the day after it occurred, we were still rescuing people and still giving places people to live, and Spiritus was there and just there for us. It was very, very comforting and very helpful to get so much assistance for so many of our victims in such a hurry, and a long-term assistance as well. It was truly amazing how tight it was in the beginning and how tight it remains a year out.
Fantastic. A lot of people take for granted, you know, they see it on the news, but they don't know the details that go into a response. Kind of where were you pre-Inspiritus thought-wise, and then as Inspiritus came on board and you saw that there were volunteer organizations, aka VOADs, volunteer organizations active in disaster. Explain that process to us just a little, if you could, Chappie.
Sure. I have a lot of training and a lot of experience doing crisis management in the law enforcement world, but I hadn't ever had to manage or had to be part of managing, coordinating an event this tightly knit and this small an area, but such a large disaster. And I'd never had the opportunity to work with a VOAD before, and learning so much from you guys so quickly. The leadership team and the folks on the ground, it actually made it possible for us to do our job. We would not have been able to actually do what we should have been doing when it was time to work, because we would have been so focused on all of the details that you guys make available. They might not have happened, or they would have been handled not nearly as well. It was such an integration of you guys into our organization instantaneously made that possible. And that was only because of you and your team's abilities and experience and training and organization that made that possible. We would not have had the time to stand everything up in the place that you all did.
Yeah. Well, thank you for allowing us to come in.
Oh, thank you. And I apologize for not having my picture up. I'm not very smart.
You're fine, man. You're fine. So Mona, I would like to ask you that same question. What is a survivor? Who is a survivor or a particular response that you will never forget? And I know there's a bunch, but share one of your many stories with us, if you would, please.
Okay, so yes, like Kevin says, and thank you, Kevin, for bringing that up. I do have a lot of stories. I as I was thinking about them, I didn't even know which one to really bring out, but I'm going to bring one out that really touches my heart. I'd been volunteering, and in the past here, I lost a daughter and disaster struck, and Sherry, your director, reached out to me about a month afterwards in a message, and she said, would it do you good to come volunteer? And as I read that message, I thought to myself, what is this? Why are you asking me this at such a difficult time? And my daughter, Summer, happened to be over that evening, and we got to talking about it, and we rolled it over in our minds until 11:30 that night. And we decided, you know what, we're jumping in our vehicle tomorrow morning and we're going to the disaster. And so that's what we did. And we rolled in there, and it's like was mentioned before, it's like coming home to your second family. And as we got there, we was met by all these people that we knew, and the compassion and the kindness and the understanding that was forthcoming was just overwhelming. And as we went out into the field and we did our work, and one of my jobs that I do is assessing, and you get in there right after, as soon as you can after the disaster is hit, and you meet with the homeowners and you get them at their most vulnerable times, and you see the anger and the shock and the tears. And it just hit me that these people are dealing with just as much loss as I am, only in a completely different way. And it brought about so much healing into my life at that time that I really contribute the volunteering that I did at that time to putting me on the path to healing. And it's like I said earlier, you know, if we can bring just a little bit of hope and help and healing to those that are struggling, it's doing the very same thing to us.
Yeah, just like Nate was saying about, you know, you're going in and you're being told what a blessing you are, but then what a blessing it is to be able to go in and to help. And I'm going to bring out something here that we all have in common that we haven't really talked about, but other volunteers I think would get a kick out of this, but at the same time, let you know, one of those things that brings us all together is a thing we call the Sherry call, right?
Right.
Sherry, our director of disaster relief, is a beautiful person inside and out. And the Sherry call happens when you see disaster on the news and you get that Sherry call to be on standby. Go back just a little bit, if you will. When you got that Sherry call, knowing she knew what you were going through, but when you got that Sherry call, what did that mean to you?
Well, I know that knowing Sherry like I do, I knew that she had my best interest at heart. And I knew that she probably knew it would bring healing and some hope to me. And I'll admit, I had to, at first, it was just like, really, Sherry, what are you doing here? You know, why are you reaching out to me at this time? And yet I am so grateful for her that she did that, because I think down deep, she knew it would bring about a necessary healing. And she just has that in her, that she knows how to go about and get you on board.
Amen.
She's a wonderful person.
Yeah. I think that too is one of the key things about Inspiritus, and how Sherry was such a good fit here. And when I was invited to come on board with Sherry and Inspiritus, it was best interest at heart. I believe Sherry carries that best interest of yours at heart, as does Inspiritus. And one of the other joys I love about working with this group of people. So Summer, I would like to direct this next question to you. How has this work changed you? How has this work affected you in positive manners? And, you know, where would you be maybe without this?
That's a loaded question.
Yes, ma'am. On purpose.
Yeah. So the first time I volunteered, I think I was, it's going to give my age, maybe 21. And it was definitely life-changing. We were working at an orphanage over there, and I went there and I knew no one. So we were going to an orphanage, and we'd, you know, hang out with the children that lost all their parents and family members in the disaster. So we'd go there, you know, a couple times a week and just interact with them. There was language barrier, but you know, it didn't matter. They taught us their little games and we taught them games, and, you know, we'd draw, and everything went smooth because, you know, that's how it goes in disaster. So it was neat. I fell in love with the little girl over there. And she was kind of in maybe 14, the oldest one in the orphanage, and kind of in the awkward stage, you know, puberty, and they didn't have the necessities they needed. So we built this bond, but we could never talk, right? And she would talk to me in her language, and I'd talk to her in mine, and, you know, we just, you know, agree to agree, and smile and nod and hug, and, you know, show love. And one day we were playing, I think it was jacks with rocks and stuff. We were playing this little game, and she started humming this song, and I was like, wait, like I know this song. So I was listening, and then pretty soon she started singing it in, you know, in English. And I was like, hold on, like, you don't speak my language. And she had found this little radio that picked up American music, and she had memorized every song. And the song she was humming was No One by Alicia Keys. And I knew it. And so we just started singing, and like her eyes just lit up, and you could just tell that the wall was gone. Like the barrier was broken, and like I was in tears, and she was hugging me, and we sang the rest of the day. It changed my life, you know, because just being there, being that someone for her, being able to connect and bond and build that trust and love, it was life-changing. I left there and I was like, man, they're like humbled, just completely humbled. And I realized I had taken so much for granted in my life, you know, and that just changed my life. And I haven't been able to quit disaster chasing since, you know, and it just built a whole new respect, I guess, for disaster relief workers as well.
Right on. Thank you for sharing. Nate from Pennsylvania, how has volunteer work changed you, man?
That's a tough one. I mean, it changes you in so many ways. Being a pastor and a missionary, like, I get to live that lifestyle a lot. But when it comes to your area, your people, your home, America, it's much different. One of the biggest things that changed me is hearing the stories of the people going. The time was one of the biggest things that stuck. Like, I heard the tornado sirens go off. I heard hurricane, and the disaster hits, and automatically, being a husband and a father of 5, like, you go to, wow, this could be me so easy. So the biggest change that I see with myself or through everyone is just, life's short. How can I love people better? How can I want to do as much as I possibly can in the short period of time I can. You can be part of the problem or be part of the solution, man. And I just want to help people, man. So that's the easiest, quickest answer I can give. Anybody that gives and volunteers is just filling themselves, and you get to give joy and receive it at the same time. That's the biggest thing. Like, a lot of times we'll go with a church group and I'll ask these same questions, and if it's their first mission trip or their first whatever, the answers are always the same. It's when you serve, man, what it does to your soul, what it does for you. That's the biggest change. And you mentioned earlier, you become a junkie to help and love people, and that's what ends up being about. Honestly, I chomp at the bit. Like, when's the next time I can pull time away from my job, my life, my things, so I can help somebody else? And that's you experience love that way. You experience relationship that way. Like I said in the beginning, you get to I made friendships that I will have for eternity, and that's something that we get to enjoy, and that's something that we should not take for granted.
Excellent. Great answer. And I think we have Chappie back online with us here.
We do.
Okay, Chappie, how has working with volunteers changed your outlook on things?
It's such a different dynamic that I'm used to working. This is the smallest agency I've ever worked in, and working for previous large disasters, I never really interacted or coordinated with organizations like this, and it completely changed my view of the work that your team does and the other VOADs. It is such a deeper experience for you guys than it even is for us. Doing rescues and trying to help people in the short term is important for us, but seeing how deep the commitment is that you guys give us and give our citizens is unbelievably affecting for me and for all of our guys as well. It's such a deep experience for us to witness the work that you guys do is overwhelming.
Excellent. And to that, I would say it's our pleasure, which it is.
Thank you.
It's a beautiful thing that we are given the opportunity to do here. And then lastly, Miss Mona again. What would you say, Mona, to those volunteers possibly out here that are maybe riding the fence? They're looking at, yeah, I want to, but I'm not sure. What would you say to those people that are on the fence?
Well, I guess I would tell them, if you're waiting for the right time to volunteer, it will never happen. You have to go out there. You have to become involved and just push yourself to do it. Once you do it, you'll be back. Trust me, you will. Like I said before, I would love to be at every disaster that goes on. I have such a passion for it. And once you get in there and you hear the stories and you listen to the homeowners and you see their gratitude and their love and the hope in their eyes when you come in, there's no turning back. Once you go, you'll be back time and time again. So get off that fence, get out there, give your time and your love and your everything you have to these people, because someday it may be you that needs it.
Yes, great answer. And guys, just a word on fear and being afraid of it. I love that fear as an acronym of false expectations appearing real. I have several people that come to me and said, man, I don't know how y'all do what you do. I would be afraid of being around that all the time and dealing with that all the time. And guys, it's a blessing. There's no fear to be had here. To be able to come, to be able to help, to be able to work and share your love in action. Not just in words. It's all about the action. It all is about the action. So thank you guys, volunteer panel, for sharing your hearts today and your heart to serve, and for being with us here tonight. Thank you for giving of your time even tonight. And with that, I would like us now to turn our attention as we watch this next video and learn how can you help.
You never get any place by yourself, and it's always good as you go up to stick your hand down and grab somebody else on the way.
We need volunteers. Come help us. You won't regret it. It's a wonderful feeling.
We'll take you for a day, we'll take you for a week, we'll take you for years. If you feel that you need to volunteer, just take a deep breath, dive in, and go for it.
It is our job to provide people with hope, and not just to give people handouts, but hands up.
It's a fantastic opportunity for Home Depot, for any organization to partner with Inspiritus. It's been an amazing experience. Absolutely, I will be back, and Inspiritus won't be getting rid of Tim Ramirez.
The Support Companion is the heartbeat of our program. I mean, we could not operate without them. The work that we do is so important, and the individuals that we accompany, they're so necessary to society.
Let's all move from surviving to thriving.
Hey guys. Well, it's just been so fun to see all these familiar faces and hear this encouraging word tonight. And so I wanted to take a moment just to answer some questions. Sherry, if you want to go ahead and turn on, the two of us can help field that. I have invited one of our friends, John Wyatt, has joined in tonight. So I see his Zoom is connecting in to say a few words with us as well. And I just want to take a minute while John's connecting to bring up a couple questions that came up. Sherry, one of the questions in the Q&A was around administrative and how to volunteer from home. Let's just say you can't get off work, but you want to help, or it's in between storms, there's not a response to go on, or perhaps you have COVID health risks or other health challenges, and it's just not the right time for you to go out in the field. How can people like that help from home?
In the first place, yes, there's something for everyone to do, and I can't emphasize that enough. We have got so many different things that we're trying to get done. We've been growing very quickly, very fast, and we've been trying to catch up with ourselves. So there's a lot of planning going on and a lot of data inputting going on and just helping us to get where we need to be. So anyone that's interested in helping in that area, just email me and we will take up the conversation and chat from there and get you rolling. And I do want to say real quickly, first of all, you all had me crying at places. Thank you for everything that you've said and done. And it is you all that makes us what we are and who we are. But I also want to say a shout out right now to our team who is still on the ground working the East Kentucky response, listening to us and watching us from there. And they're exhausted. It's been very hard work and they have gone day and night for weeks and weeks. And just want to say hi to all of you and thank you for being there and joining us tonight too. But yes, anyone can email me with any questions like that, and I will make sure that we get you slotted in to help do what your skill set and what you can do with us.
Excellent. And let's see, we had some other conversation. I see some people have shared. Martin, I just want to say thank you. You had some great questions, and I think we've addressed some of those, but one of those was just around COVID safety. Are people allowed to volunteer? I know as the months have gone on in the last 2 years, rules changed. But he had for medical reasons an exemption and couldn't get vaccinated. And sometimes that's a problem, or that you can't do certain things. Are people allowed to volunteer with us regardless of vaccination status at this time?
Yes, and the rules are, our position has changed over the course of the time. But everyone that comes in goes through a screening process, as well as when you're on base, we're taking your temperature morning and night, and we're watching constantly for symptoms. And we do, encourage the mask. And we want to take you whether you've been vaccinated or not. There's several on base right now that have not been. So yes, you can still help and still protect yourself and others while you're helping.
That's right. We have a camp of responders right now off in East Kentucky. We've had a camp going there all month, and they are weary. That is for sure. Nicholas, are you able to take your video off, or are you unable as well? Hey, Nick. Oh, sorry guys, when we do these webinars, it's set up a little differently than usual. So these are smart people. It's just not that easy. So I apologize. We couldn't show you guys. I wanted you to see the people at our base camp tonight. It was heartwarming to see some pictures come in on the phone. There they are. Nick. Hey.
Hey, Chappie.
Hey.
All right. Is everybody at base camp? We're all sitting around watching on the computer. Sorry, I had to get my phone set up for it and let all the permissions in.
Thanks for doing that. Hey, Nicholas, if you have a couple words, what would you say has been the most moving experience you've had there in East Kentucky?
Just basically all the people, the humanity, the community coming together. It's a special place. It was a special place before we got here. We usually show up and we help build communities that once were fractured. Here we were invited into a community. It's been a program where we've done a little bit of extras, and we've been able to take the time and focus on the people and spend more time with them. And it's something we always like to do. We kind of fractured the format from here to there. Some of these folks went and got a birthday cake and gave somebody their first happy birthday. And we've done some crisis counseling of our own, sitting with the homeowners and just talking, helping them walk through things. And that's kind of what I love about Inspiritus, is we help fill the needs wherever the needs are. And I think everybody on board and everybody that created this beautiful endeavor feels the same way I do, where, you know, we're really here to help the people, and the work is just consequential. You know, we're doing what we can to help, and sometimes that's just listening, sometimes that's going 100% at it and doing our mucking guts, chainsaw work, and so on and so forth.
That's right. Well, we know it's exhausting, heart and soul. So thank you. You guys are the real heroes on the front lines, and we hope more people can join you.
Virginia, let me point out that on base, we have actually got a volunteer that flew in from Hawaii and also California with us there. So you think distance and traveling and coming in to volunteer? Yes, we've got volunteers as far away as Hawaii and California right now.
That's right. And you know, guys, that doesn't have to be cost prohibitive. We have sometimes sponsorship from Airlink, where people who've donated their miles for charity and for disaster work allow us to use those miles to cover your tickets to get you there. So Nick, you know about that. And I think many of the guys at the camp do. So don't let that prohibit you if you're far away and you want to come in, and you may be close to disaster today, but there might be one a few states away that you could really use that flight. Talk to Sherry. We'll work something out. Sherry, we had a question, and this is for you and Nick. Where is the camp right now in East Kentucky?
We're staying at the David School in David, Kentucky in Floyd County. And it is an unbelievably beautiful. We're going to be so spoiled and not want to go back on air mattresses. It's bunk beds, private cabins, and a beautiful setting. So when you come in after the day, it kind of just de-stresses you just to be there.
It's amazing. It's one of the better ones.
Take a step outside and take a peek. We've been getting spoiled recently. We've gotten some pretty amazing locations. We're still not opposed to air mattresses and bunking up, but it's hard to say no to a facility like this.
That's sure.
They're
That's
pretty
right.
amazing. It's a type of alternative school, and they help kids who are struggling to take the right steps in life. It's all free tuition, and just a bunch of amazing people in an amazing facility here in an amazing location. So if you have any free time in the next few days and want to experience this along with the response, like, give us a ring.
That's it. And hurricane season is upon us, guys. So if you feel inspired, go ahead and reach out to Sherry or any of us that you know, and get in line. Let us know you're interested, so that as the hurricanes come, you're one of the people we can call to help in one way or another. I know, Sherry, you guys are getting ready right now. Yeah,
we certainly are.
Yeah. And we do have ongoing recoveries, you know, for years. Oftentimes, if you want to volunteer over in Waverly, Tennessee, down in Noonan, Georgia, in Nashville, or up in the West Kentucky area from the tornadoes they had, talk to us, and we'd love to get you plugged in as well. So with that, I'm going to have the sad job of closing us out for the night. I wish we could spend more time together. Thank you, everyone. If you want to stay on for a few more minutes, some of us are happy to stay on with you. Otherwise, have a great night, and we look forward to hearing from you soon.